Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida. And Monday Night Raw tonight, I thought it was an okay show, in my opinion. We had Damian Priest versus Angelo Dawkins in an Elimination Chamber qualifying match. We had Dexter Lumis versus Baron Corbin. We had a women's Fatal 4-Way Elimination Chamber qualifying match where it was Carmella versus Candice LeRae versus Mia Yim versus Piper Niven. We had Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin versus the Alpha Academy. We also saw Montez 4 versus Elias in Elimination Chamber qualifying match, which obviously you could tell who was going to win the match. And the main event. We had the steel cage match between Becky Lynch and Bayley, which we were originally supposed to have 2 weeks ago on the Raw 30th show, but the match never got underway because of how long the Sami Zayn trial segment went, so there was no time for the steel cage match. But overall, Monday Night Raw was an okay show tonight. But before I get into the review, next week, there will be no Monday Night Raw review. I will be at Raw next week. It's going to be at Barclays Center. So I'm going to Monday Night Raw next week. Hopefully, it'll be a decent show. But no Monday Night Raw review next week. But I'll be doing a vlog at Monday Night Raw. So that'll be coming. But anyways, let's jump right into the review. Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with Edge and Beth Phoenix. Edge ended up coming out along with his wife Beth Phoenix. They got a huge ovation there in Orlando. Edge ended up run into the crowd. He got the fans, fired up, and he was shown taking selfies with some of the fans, signing autographs. So we had a video package where at Extreme Rules, we saw Edge versus Finn Balor. It was the I Quit match where Edge ended up saying I quit to save Beth Phoenix because Rhea Ripley threatened to give Beth Phoenix a concerto, if you remember what happened at that match at Extreme Rules. And we all remember Rhea Ripley ended up delivering the concerto to Beth Phoenix after Edge ended up saying, I quit. And then it showed, the Royal Rumble and how Edge and Beth Phoenix returned. And Edge ended up attacking Balor. Beth Phoenix attacked Rhea Ripley. So we saw that. And after both of those video packages, we saw both Edge and Beth Phoenix. They were in the ring. Edge ended up greeting Orlando. He ended up saying that he had to bring his heart rate down after watching what we just saw in the video package. Edge ended up saying that it's so damn good to be back. And he referred to himself as the king of comebacks. And, that is true. Edge is the king of comebacks. I'll never forget, at the 2020 Royal Rumble when he made his return and he came out and that ovation that the crowd ended up giving him. It was very memorable. The look on Edge when he came out was just, great. He was surprised and he couldn't believe that, he was back. So that is one moment that I'll never forget. And it brought, goosebumps, to me. And I'm sure it brought goosebumps to many of you that watched his return at the 2020 Royal Rumble. So Edge ended up saying that he's here because of the Judgment Day. And that the Judgment Day is his fault. He ended up saying the idea was to try to elevate talent. And he truly thought deserved it. He ended up saying that it worked. And all of the Judgment Day are in a better place than they were a year ago. And he kept saying that Finn Balor is operating on a level he's never seen before. And that Damian Priest has proven he's a workhorse that can go against the very best. He kept saying that Rhea Ripley went from number 1 to outlast everyone in the Royal Rumble and to go to WrestleMania against Charlotte. So he kept saying for the last year, they've battled back and forth to get to Extreme Rules. Edge ended up saying that he knew Balor didn't have what it takes to hurt him enough to make him quit physically. He ended up saying that the minute he saw Rhea Ripley hit his wife, Beth Phoenix, with the brass knucks and threaten her with a chair, Edge ended up saying that he felt helpless. Edge ended up saying that he's not used to that feeling. So Edge ended up saying, "Oh, I applaud you, Judgment Day. Let me give you a golf clap." So Edge gave a golf clap to them. So the crowd ended up chanting, "You still got it," to Edge. But Edge ended up saying that he never lost it. He ended up saying that they made a bad problem worse. Edge ended up saying that he's a cruel, vindictive, sick bastard who was sick to any level to get his pound of flesh. So then Beth Phoenix got on the mic. She ended up saying that she'll cut to the chase. She ended up saying that if Rhea Ripley and Finn Balor have the stones, they're here to finish this. So the Judgment Day ended up coming out. We saw Damian Priest, Finn Balor, and Dominic. Rhea Ripley was nowhere in sight. She wasn't even on the show tonight. So Balor ended up getting on the mic, and he ended up saying that he's noticing a pattern. He ended up saying that Edge made his triumphant return only for the Judgment Day to beat him down again and again. So Balor ended up saying that, "Oh, it might be time for Edge to say, 'I quit.'" And then Dominic ended up getting on the mic. They're still giving him a mic. He sucks cutting the promo. Why do they still keep putting a mic in this guy's hand? Dominic needs to work on mic skills and cutting a promo. So Dom ended up saying that they must have heard because word on the street travels fast. He ended up saying that he's served hard time since they've been gone. So the crowd booed Dom. Dom ended up telling Edge and Beth Phoenix to run along before he does something that he learned on the inside, just like he did to his deadbeat dad, who didn't make it to the Royal Rumble. So Damian Priest ended up getting on the mic and saying that Dom is right. So Damian Priest ended up suggesting that the next time they beat them down, they make Extreme Rules look like child's play. He ended up saying after he cooks Angelo Dawkins. So Priest ended up saying that he hates Edge so much that he can't speak right now because Damian Priest ended up messing up his lines. I guess what he was going to say, he messed it up. So Damian Priest ended up saying that he will go into the Elimination Chamber and win the United States Championship. So Dom ended up saying that he wishes Mammy, Rhea Ripley, was here to watch what they'll do to Edge. So Dom ended up saying that Mammy, Rhea Ripley, is busy promoting WrestleMania. So Edge ended up telling Dom to shut up. And he ended up saying that they don't know what they really want. And he ended up saying that the night Damian Priest clotheslined his head off, he didn't want a leader. And that he's following Balor like a lapdog. So Edge ended up saying that he can't wait for Rey Mysterio to snap and 619 Dom's teeth down his throat. And he was like, "Oh, they'll drop each other faster than ex-con Dom dropped his pants in the clink." So Beth Phoenix ended up saying that she cannot believe that Rhea Ripley isn't here because of a promotional appearance. She ended up saying that the only reason why Rhea is not here is because she speared her soul out of her body. So Beth Phoenix was like, she's not here to talk, and that she's here to beat Rhea Ripley's ass. So she ended up saying that since Rhea isn't here tonight, how about at Elimination Chamber we have Edge and her versus Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley at Elimination Chamber. So Balor ended up asking Dom if Rhea is in, to which Dom ended up saying, Mommy is in. So Balor then ended up accepting if they can make it to Elimination Chamber, meaning Edge and Beth Phoenix. So the Judgment Day ended up getting on the ring apron. So they were cornering Edge and Beth Phoenix. So Edge ended up trying to fight, Damian Priest and Dom and Balor off. And Angelo Dawkins quickly ended up running down. Dawkins ended up knocking Damian Priest out of the ring. Edge then speared Balor. Dom backed up the ramp. And then we saw Montez Ford end up appearing behind Dom. Montez Ford ended up putting Dom in the ring. And then Beth Phoenix ended up giving Dom the Glam Slam. And it was funny when Beth Phoenix ended up holding up Dom for the Glam Slam. You just heard him scream, Mommy! And then what was funny was Corey Graves on commentary was like, Mommy, help! Which was very funny. And basically that was how the segment ended. But overall, I thought this was a good segment here, with Edge and Beth Phoenix. Edge is, of course, over with the crowd. Beth Phoenix, of course, everybody, supports Beth Phoenix. They're both WWE Hall of Famers. So, and then it's just, Edge continuing his feud with the Judgment Day. And then we had the first match of the night, which was the Elimination Chamber qualifying match, Damian Priest versus Angelo Dawkins. And this was a good match here. We had Damian Priest end up punching away at Dawkins. He ended up sending Dawkins into the ropes. Dawkins then cartwheeled around Damian Priest and delivered a drop kick. Dawkins then connected with a flapjack to Priest. He ended up going for a plancha, and Damian Priest ended up moving out of the way. Dawkins got out of the ring, and he pounced Damian Priest over the commentary table, which was awesome. And then we saw during the break, Adam Pearce end up ejecting everyone from ringside, so it would just be Damian Priest and Angelo Dawkins going one-on-one. So Dawkins had Priest in the ring. Dawkins ended up going for a twisting avalanche, but Priest ended up forearming Dawkins in the face. Priest then put Dawkins in the corner, whipped him to the opposite side, and then he ended up hitting a running back elbow, and then hit the broken arrow on Dawkins. Priest ended up going for the cover. Dawkins kicked out. Priest then ended up applying a surfboard stretch, and he ended up punching Dawkins, and he ended up going for the cover. Dawkins kicked out again. So we have Priest end up applying a chin lock, and Dawkins ended up fighting up, and he punched out of the chin lock. Dawkins then sidestepped the big boot from Priest, and he ended up hitting an enziguri. So Priest ended up charging at Dawkins, but Dawkins pulled the top rope down and got Priest out of the ring. Dawkins ended up getting out of the ring. He ended up charging at Priest, but Priest ended up clotheslining him down on the floor. Priest then got Dawkins to his feet, and Priest ended up hitting a vertical suplex to Dawkins on the floor. Priest ended up getting into the ring to break up the ref's count. Priest ended up going to the outside, and he jumped off the ring steps with a flying kick to Dawkins. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, both Priest and Dawkins were down. Dawkins ended up hitting a pair of clotheslines before Priest ended up punching Dawkins down. Dawkins got back up. He leapt over Priest, ended up hitting a flying back elbow. Dawkins then end up hitting a twist and avalanche, and they step up enziguri to Priest. Dawkins then caught Priest with an exploder suplex, and he ended up going for the cover, to which Priest kicked out. Dawkins ended up taking Priest down. He ended up going up to the top rope. Priest ended up grabbing Dawkins by the throat, but Dawkins ended up snapping Priest off the top rope. Priest quickly booted Dawkins and ended up hitting an elevated flatliner to Dawkins, to which Priest ended up going for the cover, and Dawkins kicked out. Priest then ended up going for the South of Heaven, but Dawkins countered that into silencer, and he ended up going for the cover, to which Priest kicked out. Dawkins then ended up going up to the top rope. He hit a very nice swanton to Damian Priest, which connected. So Dawkins ended up going for the cover, and Priest kicked out, to which Dawkins was frustrated. He was slapping the mat in frustration. So at the end of the match, Priest ended up hitting a spin kick to Dawkins, and he hit the South of Heaven, and so he went for the cover, and there you go. Damian Priest ended up winning the match. So now Damian Priest ends up joining Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, Johnny Gargano, and Bronson Reed in the Elimination Chamber match for the United States Championship. But overall, this was a good match between Priest and Angelo Dawkins. And, kind of knew that Damian Priest was going into the chamber. And then we had Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce ended up signing the Maximum Male Models to Raw. Unbelievable. Can you believe that? Now we're going to have the Maximum Male Models, Marseille and Mansoor and Maxine Dupree on Raw. When they were off TV, when they were part of SmackDown. Nobody wants to see the Maximum Male Models on TV. The only one to look forward to in the Maximum Male Models is Maxine Dupree, because she's very pretty. So Chelsea Green ended up walking up to Adam Pearce. Chelsea Green ended up discussing her demands to Adam Pearce. She ended up telling Pearce that she wasn't happy with her Belgian chocolate because she wanted Swiss. And she ended up telling Adam Pearce that she is not happy with her not being in the Elimination Chamber. Adam Pearce ended up saying that Chelsea Green didn't last 5 seconds in the Royal Rumble. So Chelsea Green ended up asking Adam Pearce if she needs to speak to his manager. She ended up telling Adam Pearce that she deserves an opportunity and that her family is in town and she wants to be presented in the proper way. She ended up saying one call and she can destroy Adam Pearce's job. So Chelsea Green ended up walking off, and Adam Pearce ended up looking all irritated with Chelsea Green. But, Chelsea Green, they're giving her this Karen gimmick. It's going to get old very quick, in my opinion. Then we have Baron Corbin versus Dexter Lumis. Baron Corbin was accompanied by JBL. Dexter Lumis was accompanied by Johnny Gargano. And this match was boring. This match was awful, in my opinion. So Baron Corbin made his way out along with JBL. And then Dexter Lumis made his way out with Gargano. And as Dexter Lumis made his way out, Corbin ended up attacking Lumis. And the match, didn't get underway here because the ref ended up checking on Dexter Lumis. Lumis ended up, confirming that he is okay to have the match with Corbin. So the ref rang the bell. The match got underway. Corbin then avalanched Lumis before he ended up applying a chin lock. Corbin then elbowed away at Lumis. JBL ended up watching Corbin from ringside. Lumis ended up fighting up, but Corbin ended up kneeing Lumis into the corner. Corbin then started punching Lumis, ended up whipping him into the opposite corner. Corbin ended up going for the cover, to which Lumis kicked out. So Lumis ended up fighting up because Corbin ended up raking Lumis's face, so Lumis ended up fighting up, started punching at Corbin. Lumis ended up ducking a right hand from Corbin, ended up hitting a pair of right hands to him. Lumis then lifted Corbin up for another right hand, and he ended up hitting a corner clothesline. Lumis then followed up with a bulldog, and then Lumis ended up laying out Corbin with a back suplex, and Lumis ended up going to take Corbin down, but Corbin ended up backing Lumis into the corner. Lumis then sidestepped an avalanche, ended up hitting a choke slam to Corbin, and he ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Dexter Lumis ended up winning the match. And then we saw JBL. He looked disgusted at Corbin losing another match. So Dexter Lumis celebrated in the ring with Johnny Gargano, and pretty much that was basically that. Overall, this match was awful. And then we saw Byron Saxton. Byron Saxton was backstage with Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch ended up telling Byron Saxton that we're in Orlando, Florida, where it all began 10 years ago. She ended up saying 10 years ago, she also first met Bayley in the weight room at the Performance Center, when both Becky and Bayley were in NXT. She ended up saying that Bayley wanted to be great, and that the way she did that was by high-fiving and hugging people, as well as attaching herself to whoever could help her. So Becky ended up saying that she also wanted to do what it takes to get to the top of this industry, and Bayley didn't like that. She ended up saying that Bayley attacked her and separated her shoulder and brought her family into this. To which Becky ended up saying, you don't talk about her family. So Becky ended up saying that she has Bayley in a steel cage match and has a card to play tonight. So pretty much that was basically what Becky had to say. I like that. They put in, Becky and Bayley met 10 years ago at the Performance Center. Their history of, when they met. Becky Lynch ended up mentioning, Bayley's old gimmick, of her high-fiving and hugging people, when Bayley had the hugger gimmick. But really liked Becky's promo. And then we have Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar ended up came out wearing his cowboy hat. Lesnar got into the ring. He got a big ovation from the crowd there in Orlando. Brock got on the mic, and he ended up saying that he appreciates the reception. And he ended up saying, good evening, Orlando. So Lesnar was to the fans, oh, did you catch the Royal Rumble? Lesnar ended up saying that he thought it sucked. And he ended up saying that the Royal Rumble, he got his ass thrown over the top rope by Bobby who? Bobby Lashley. And I agree with Brock Lesnar, saying that the Rumble sucked. It did. Both Rumbles sucked. Both the men and the women's Rumble. And Lesnar ended up saying that he apologizes for not being on Raw last week. He ended up saying that he had to get his head together. He ended up saying that Lashley finally struck a chord in him. And last week he couldn't get Lashley out of his head. Lesnar ended up saying that he tried to go hunting, but all he could think about was Bobby who? Bobby Lashley. Lesnar ended up saying that the next day he woke up, he wanted to go ice fishing, but all he could think of was Bobby who? Bobby Lashley. Lesnar ended up saying that he went for a steak and couldn't help thinking about Lashley. Lesnar ended up saying that he crawled into bed with his wife after about 4 or 5 hours, and all he could still think about was Bobby Lashley. So Lesnar ended up saying that he tried to consider what he would do about Lashley. Lesnar ended up saying that he came up with a violent resolution. So he ended up saying that in his $5 denim jacket is a multi-million-dollar contract. He kept saying on the contract, it states Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar at Elimination Chamber. Lesnar kept saying that if Lashley has a set of balls, he'll get his ass out here and sign the contract. So, the almighty Bobby Lashley made his way out. Bobby Lashley was wearing a nice suit. He kept saying that it's nice of Brock to grace them with his presence. Lashley kept saying that he wants to bring him down memory lane. Lashley kept saying that he pinned Lesnar in match number 1. And that Lesnar won in match number 2. So, Lashley kept saying that the third meeting they had face-to-face was at the Royal Rumble. And that he threw Lesnar's ass over the top rope without any problem. So Lesnar ended up giving Lashley the contract. And Lashley ended up saying that if his memory serves correctly, he'll do things on his terms. Lashley ended up saying that he will take this contract to his agent, manager, and lawyer. He ended up saying that he'll get back to Lesnar after taking it into consideration. So Lashley ended up putting a finger in Lesnar's face, which angered Lesnar. Lashley ended up going to walk off. Lesnar turned Lashley around, and he ended up hitting Lashley with an F5. Lesnar then put the contract on Lashley. The crowd was chanting one more time for Lesnar to F5 Lashley again. So we had Lesnar end up delivering a F5 to Lashley for a second time. And then Lesnar celebrated before leaving the ring. And that was how the segment ended. But overall, we're getting Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley at Elimination Chamber when Lashley ends up signing the contract. So that's going to be coming. And then we went backstage, and we saw Johnny Gargano and Dexter Lumis. They ended up greeting Candice LeRae. Lumis ended up making them a drawing. And it had him, Gargano, and Candice LeRae, and also Nikki Cross in the picture. To which Nikki Cross has been stalking them. Has been stalking Gargano and Candice LeRae. So Candice LeRae was like, oh, who is that? She was like, is that Nikki? And then Candice LeRae ended up noticing Nikki Cross in the background. And Nikki Cross ended up running off. And that was basically that. And then we had the Women's Fatal 4-Way Elimination Chamber qualifying match. It was Candice LeRae, Carmella, Mia Yim, and Piper Niven. And this was just a very meh match here. So the match ended up getting underway. Piper Niven ended up taking out Mia Yim and Candice LeRae with a double clothesline. Niven ended up stepping up and scared Carmella. Carmella got out of the ring. Piper Niven ended up sending Candice LeRae into Mia Yim in the corner, and she ended up avalanching both Mia Yim and Candice LeRae. Carmella then jumped on Niven's back, and Niven ended up slamming Carmella off. Candice LeRae and Mia Yim ended up double teaming on Piper Niven, but Piper Niven ended up fighting the both of them off. So both Candice LeRae and Mia Yim got back up. They ended up dropping Piper Niven into the ropes, and they ended up double drop kicking her out of the ring. So then Candice LeRae and Mia Yim end up squaring off. Mia Yim ended up applying a waistlock, and she ended up forearming Candice LeRae. Mia Yim then slammed Candice into the corner and put her on the top rope. Mia Yim put Candice LeRae in the electric chair, but Candice LeRae ended up countering with a poison rana. Carmella then ended up running in, and she ended up trying to cover both Mia Yim and Candice LeRae, but both Mia Yim and Candice LeRae ended up kicking out. Piper Niven then came and flattened all three of them with a splash. So Piper Niven then ended up covering Mia Yim, to which Mia Yim ended up kicking out. Piper Niven then ended up covering Carmella, which Carmella ended up kicking out. Then Piper Niven ended up clearing the ring, and she started taunting them. She started taunting Mia Yim, Candice LeRae, and Carmella. So then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Carmella ended up avoiding an avalanche from Piper Niven. Carmella then delivered a big boot to Niven, but Niven ended up quickly running Carmella over with a shoulder tackle. Niven ended up catching Candice LeRae, diving at her, but Mia Yim ended up taking Piper Niven down with a running neck breaker. Candice LeRae landed on top of Piper Niven, to which Niven ended up rolling out of the ring. So Carmella and Mia Yim started trading forearms, and Mia Yim ended up kicking Carmella back. Mia Yim ended up hitting Carmella with the Eat the Feet, but Piper Niven ended up pulling Carmella out of the ring before the pin. Piper Niven got into the ring, but Mia Yim started punching away at her. Piper Niven then ended up headbutting Mia Yim and set her up for a powerbomb, but Piper Niven ended up throwing Mia Yim aside when she ended up seeing Candice LeRae. Candice LeRae then ended up hitting Piper Niven with a missile drop kick, to which she followed up with a springboard moonsault off the second rope. And Candice ended up going for the cover, to which Mia Yim broke up the pin, which upsetted Candice LeRae. So Piper Niven then ended up knocking Mia Yim into Candice LeRae, and she ended up hitting the Black Hole Slam. Candice LeRae ended up breaking up the pin, which Piper Niven ended up going on Mia Yim, and that's when Candice broke up the pin, which frustrated Piper Niven. So Piper Niven ended up taking Candice LeRae down. She ended up going for a senton splash, but Candice LeRae ended up moving out of the way, which led to Candice hitting Piper Niven with a step-up senton splash. So Piper Niven ended up quickly rolling out of the ring. Carmella then rolled Candice LeRae up for a near fall. Candice LeRae ended up knocking Carmella back and charged at her, but Carmella ended up dropping Candice LeRae into the turnbuckles. So Carmella ended up doing the moonwalk. She ended up hitting Candice LeRae with the Bronco Buster. Piper Niven then hit Candice LeRae with the Cannonball, and then Carmella super kicked Piper Niven away, and she ended up going to cover Candice LeRae, and there you go. Carmella ended up winning the Fatal 4-Way Elimination Chamber qualifying match. So Carmella now joins Raquel Rodriguez, Asuka, Liv Morgan, Nikki Cross, and Natalya in the Elimination Chamber. And of course, the winner will face Bianca Belair for the Royal Women's Championship at WrestleMania. But Candice LeRae, of course, still taking losses. Carmella is moving into the Elimination Chamber. Do I care? No. And then we saw Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin was backstage. JBL looked disgusted at Corbin. JBL ended up telling Corbin that he headlined WrestleMania. His Hall of Fame legacy has lost all credibility because of Corbin. JBL ended up saying that Corbin is not a modern-day wrestling god. Well, JBL, thank you for acknowledging that. He ended up saying that Corbin is a clown. Corbin ended up saying to JBL that he can change and will do better. To which JBL ended up saying, and I liked when JBL said this to Corbin. JBL said to Corbin, "You can't polish a turd," as he's already tried. So JBL ended up walking off, and Corbin looked all upset at what JBL had to say. But pretty much that was basically that. But this actually was good on JBL here. Telling Corbin that, he headlined WrestleMania. And that Corbin is not a modern-day wrestling god. Why would you call Corbin a modern-day wrestling god? He is not. And also in the background here, where Corbin was looking all upset, We saw MVP was talking with Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexandra. So the Hurt Business, little by little, is going to come in full swing. So it's just little seeds planted for the return of the Hurt Business. And then we saw Candice LeRae was walking backstage. Piper Niven ended up grabbing Candice LeRae, and she started threatening her. Mia Yim then ended up running over, ended up breaking it up. Piper Niven ended up warning them that if they get between her and the Raw Women's Championship again, she won't be so forgiven. Because Piper Niven was like, oh, this was my shot to go to WrestleMania. But that was that. And then we had the Alpha Academy. Chad Gable and Otis versus Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. And this was just a very meh match here. Chad Gable and Cedric Alexander started off. Chad Gable ended up taking Cedric Alexander down, ended up hitting a snapmare. Gable ended up rolling him around the mat, ended up hitting a headlock. Cedric Alexander ended up getting out of the headlock, and both guys started trading arm drags. Alexander ended up kicking Gable, tried to go for a handspring back elbow, but Gable ended up countering that into a German suplex, which was cool. So Otis ended up tagging in. Chad Gable ended up applying the neck vice to Cedric Alexander. And then Otis ended up avalanching Cedric Alexander down. Shelton Benjamin ended up taking in, and he punched Otis. Otis ended up stopping a whip from Shelton Benjamin, and he ended up sending Shelton Benjamin into the ropes. Shelton Benjamin ended up going for a clothesline, but Otis absorbed it. Benjamin ended up stunning Otis with a kick, and Benjamin ended up going for an avalanche, but Otis countered that into a slam. Otis then ended up hitting a big splash on Shelton Benjamin. Otis then whipped Shelton Benjamin into the corner, but Shelton Benjamin ended up delivering a spin kick to Otis. Otis ended up quickly slamming Shelton Benjamin down. Otis ended up putting Shelton Benjamin in the corner, and Shelton Benjamin ended up avoiding an avalanche from Otis. So Chad Gable and Cedric Alexander both ended up tagging in. Cedric Alexander ended up hitting a running forearm and a clothesline to Chad Gable. Cedric Alexander ended up forearming Gable in the face and ended up hitting a drop kick to the back of Gable's head. Gable ended up sending Cedric Alexander into the ropes, but Cedric Alexander ended up sidestepping. So Cedric Alexander ended up knocking Chad Gable out of the ring with the neuralizer. And Cedric Alexander ended up going for a suicide dive. Gable ended up catching Alexander, and he ended up hitting Alexander with an exploder suplex on the floor. Chad Gable ended up getting Cedric in the ring. He ended up going to the top rope for a diving headbutt, but he ended up going for the cover, and Shelton Benjamin ended up breaking up the pin. Otis ended up running in, ended up attacking Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin ended up sidestepping an avalanche, ended up hitting a pair of running knees, and he followed up with a Samoan drop on Otis. Chad Gable ended up attacking Shelton Benjamin, knocked him out of the ring. Chad Gable ended up taking Cedric Alexander down, ended up going up to the top rope. Gable ended up landing on his feet because Cedric ended up avoiding a moonsault by Chad Gable. Cedric Alexander ended up hitting Chad Gable with the lumbar check, and he ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin ended up winning the match. Overall, very meh match it was. And then we saw Kathy Kelly. Kathy Kelly was backstage with The Miz. Miz ended up saying that he is waiting for an appointment with Adam Pearce. Miz ended up saying that he is presenting Pearce with a bill for his $10,000 suit that his wife bought him last week. So then Rick Boogs ended up coming out of Adam Pearce's office. Miz ended up saying that he'd have beaten Boogs last week if Adam Pearce wasn't an incompetent manager. So Pearce came out of his office as Miz ended up saying that, and Adam Pearce ended up saying that Miz will face Boogs next week on Raw. So Boogs ended up liking that. He was fired up. So yeah, we're getting a rematch next week. So then Chelsea Green walked up to Adam Pearce. She ended up saying that she's headed to the ring. So Chelsea Green ended up demanding an opponent, or she'll call Adam Pearce's manager. So pretty much that was basically that. But like I said, rematch next week with The Miz and Rick Boogs. It's not going to make a difference on what we saw last week. And then we had Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green ended up coming out, and her opponent was Asuka. So before the match began, we had Raquel Rodriguez, Natalya, and Liv Morgan end up coming out. Carmella end up coming down as well. And Chelsea Green ended up attacking Asuka from behind. Chelsea Green ended up taking it to Asuka, and she ended up lifting Asuka up for a flatliner. So Nikki Cross then came out from under the ring as Chelsea Green continued to talk trash to the woman on the outside. So Chelsea Green ended up turning to see Asuka. Asuka ended up striking away at Chelsea Green. She ended up hitting a snap German suplex to her. Asuka then ended up hitting Chelsea Green with a snap kick. Asuka ended up charging at Chelsea, but Chelsea ended up booting Asuka back. Chelsea then charged, but Asuka ended up taking Chelsea down, ended up stretching her in a submission, and there you go. Asuka ended up winning the match. Chelsea Green is already buried, in my opinion. She wasn't even in the Royal Rumble 5 minutes. She ended up getting eliminated in 90 seconds, and then loses to Asuka tonight. Post-match, Bianca Belair, the Royal Women's Champion, ended up coming out. She got on the mic, and she ended up telling the woman to get a good look. What she sees are 6 top-tier women in WWE. But who has what it takes to win inside the Elimination Chamber? Who has what it takes to go one-on-one with the EST? And she ended up saying that she knows what it takes to win the Elimination Chamber. And that's how she got the Royal Women's Championship. Bianca Belair ended up wishing the woman all luck because whoever makes it out of the chamber, she'll be ready to see them at WrestleMania. So pretty much that was basically what Bianca had to say. And then we saw Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes ended up coming out, got a nice ovation from the crowd there. He got on the mic. He ended up asking the crowd what they want to talk about. Cody ended up saying that he used his time last week to talk with respect about his WrestleMania opponent, the Tribal Chief, and best in the world, Roman Reigns. To which the crowd ended up booing Roman's name. So Cody Rhodes ended up saying that his path is straight, but the destination is a bit foggy. He ended up saying that the current champion is putting the titles on the line against the guy who has kicked up all the dust and is going to his hometown to face Reigns and Sami Zayn. So we had a Sami chant end up picking up from the crowd. So Cody ended up saying this is with the utmost respect. And he ended up wishing Sami Zayn the best of luck. May the best man win. So then we got Paul Heyman end up coming out. You know, Paul Heyman does his, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. His whole shtick. He ended up saying that he's the special counsel to the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, as the way he pronounces it, Roman Reigns. So Paul Heyman ended up asking for permission to get into the ring, which Cody ended up granting. Paul Heyman ended up saying that what Cody Rhodes may one day find out in his life, and hopefully not at his expense, not at Paul Heyman's expense, is that life at the very top in this industry requires an understanding that the only weak bruiser than the weak lead-in into a major event like the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania is the week coming out of a major event. So Paul Heyman ended up saying that him and the Tribal Chief have had a lot on their plates. On the Island of Relevancy, they want to congratulate Cody on winning the 2023 Royal Rumble match. Paul Heyman ended up shaking hands with Cody, and we had a Cody chant pick up from the crowd, which was followed by a "You Deserve It" chant. So Cody ended up saying that he knows his father and brother had a nickname for Paul Heyman. Cody ended up saying that he will call him Mr. Heyman. So Cody ended up saying that he's had unparalleled respect for Paul Heyman, and that he knows why. He ended up saying that if they're going to pull back the curtain, they might as well pull it back for the people in attendance and at home. Cody ended up saying that the year was 2000. The till in his family had dried up a bit. Hard times became more than just a promo. Cody then ended up saying that his family went broke and that they only had $100 in the bank. Cody ended up saying that his father was doing local car commercials. Dusty was doing local car commercials, not for the money, but to keep the car. He ended up saying then his father Dusty got a phone call from Paul Heyman, to which Cody ended up saying that Paul Heyman told Dusty that ECW was in town and Steve Corino would talk smack about him. Cody then ended up saying that Paul Heyman said that if Dusty would appear on camera, he'd pay him well. So he had an ECW chant pick up from the crowd, and Cody ended up saying that Paul Heyman kept his word. In addition to the money they sorely needed, ECW gave his father his confidence back. So Cody ended up saying that he can never repay him for that, and he ended up thanking Paul Heyman. So he ended up saying, turn the clock forward before he was back here, he was causing trouble. So he ended up saying from one disruptor in this sport to another, Paul Heyman showed him the way, to which Cody ended up thanking him again. So Paul Heyman was emotional, he was crying, he had tears from his eyes, he was wiping away the tears. And so we had a thank you Paul chant end up picking up. So Paul Heyman ended up saying Cody is good, and it caught him off guard. Paul Heyman ended up saying that he came out here to schmooze a little business, but Cody got him personally. Paul Heyman then took a deep breath, the crowd ended up cheering at him, and he ended up saying that if they're going to peel it back and shoot from the hip, let's go all the way. And Paul Heyman ended up saying, with all due respect, this isn't about Cody's dad. This isn't about Dusty. This is about him. This is about Cody. He ended up saying this is about everything he's fought to get back here. Win the men's Royal Rumble and main event WrestleMania. He ended up saying that winning WrestleMania is a whole different story. Just getting there is a long road. So Paul Heyman ended up saying that's Cody's story that he needs to finish to see if it's a dream come true, or he'll suffer the nightmare of coming so close. So Paul Heyman ended up saying that Cody isn't just main event in WrestleMania. He is trying to take away from the greatest box office attraction and champion named Roman Reigns. So we had Paul Heyman end up saying down the road is the Performance Center. At that very Performance Center, Cody's father, Dusty Rhodes, trained and prepped the biggest stars of this generation. He mentioned that Dusty ended up training and prepping Seth Rollins. He trained and prepped Becky Lynch. He trained and prepped Bayley. He trained and prepped Kevin Owens. And he trained and prepped the highest level of success in Roman Reigns. He kept saying Cody's father did not train or prep Cody. So Cody was looking, very emotional. Cody had tears running down his face. Paul Heyman ended up telling Cody, as a father, he could counsel Cody. And maybe his father wanted him to make it on his own and step out from the shadow of a national monument. Paul Heyman ended up saying, maybe Dusty wanted Cody to step out and be the guy that wins the Royal Rumble and beats Roman Reigns. Paul Heyman ended up saying that he cannot convey in words how much he loved Cody's father, Dusty. Paul Heyman ended up saying that he can tell Cody that Dusty truly loved him. Paul Heyman got emotional, and he ended up saying that in his last conversation with Dusty, Dusty told him that Cody was his favorite son. So Cody took a deep breath to contain his emotion. Paul Heyman ended up saying that Dusty said that Roman Reigns was the son he always wanted. So Paul Heyman then dropped the mic, and he smirked. Cody was irate, and he stepped up to Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman ended up begging him off. He ended up saying, I'm just sending a message. I'm just conveying a message. So Cody ended up violently grabbing Paul Heyman's hand. And Cody ended up saying that he's just trying to win a wrestling championship. And everyone wants to make it personal. He ended up saying that Paul Heyman won't pay for it. And that his boy, Roman Reigns, will pay for it at WrestleMania when he takes those titles personally. So Cody shoved the mic into Paul Heyman's chest, and he got out of the ring, and that was basically how this segment ended. But overall, this was a very good segment. It was more about Dusty and less about Cody, because Paul Heyman ends up going into many of the references to Dusty, saying, your father, trained, Kevin Owens. He trained Becky Lynch. He trained Seth Rollins and Bayley and Roman Reigns. It was all about Dusty Rhodes, then Cody here. But overall, it was still a good segment. And then we had the Elimination Chamber qualifying match, Montez Ford versus Elias. This match was just okay, in my opinion. Was it great? No. But Montez Ford and Elias stand up blocking up. Elias powered Montez Ford into the corner. Elias ended up hooking a side headlock on Montez Ford. Ford tried to whip Elias off, and Ford ended up whipping Elias off. He finally whipped Elias off because Montez Ford ended up holding on to the headlock. So Ford ended up whipping him off. Elias then ended up hitting a shoulder tackle to Montez Ford, to which he ended up going for the cover, and Ford ended up kicking out. So both Montez Ford and Elias were trading pins. Elias ended up hitting a headlock takeover on Montez Ford. Ford ended up fighting up, whipped Elias off. Montez Ford ended up hitting a shoulder tackle and a drop kick to Elias. So we had later on, Elias ended up going to the outside. He ended up sending Montez Ford into the LED barricade, because before that, Elias ended up whipping Montez Ford into the ropes, and he ended up hitting a back body drop to Montez Ford, to which Ford ended up rolling out of the ring. So we had Elias end up hitting a back suplex to Montez Ford on the ring steps, which had to hurt Montez Ford. So then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Montez Ford ended up fighting up from a surfboard stretch from Elias. Elias ended up quickly dropping Ford with a backbreaker, and he ended up going up to the top rope. Ford ended up punching Elias, but Elias ended up fighting back. Elias ended up going for a sunset flip powerbomb, but Montez Ford held onto the ropes. Ford ended up punching Elias, and Elias quickly ended up getting Montez Ford in the electric chair. He spinned Montez Ford for a sit-out powerbomb, to which Montez Ford ended up kicking out. So there was a point where Montez Ford ended up hitting Elias with a back suplex. He kipped up, and Montez Ford ended up connecting with a standing moonsault to Elias, to which he ended up going for the cover. And Elias ended up kicking out. And what I really liked in this spot in the match was Montez Ford ended up forearming Elias off the apron. And Montez Ford dived over the ring post and hit Elias with a somersault senton, which that was a very good spot there. So Montez Ford ended up getting Elias in the ring, ended up hitting a frog splash on Elias, ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Montez Ford ended up winning the match. And Austin Theory was on commentary all during this match. So now Montez Ford is the final entry into the Elimination Chamber. He's going to be joining Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, Gargano, Bronson Reed, and Damian Priest. It was for the United States Championship in the Elimination Chamber. So post-match, Austin Theory posed on the commentary table. He held up the United States Championship. And then all of a sudden, Seth Rollins ended up chop blocking Austin Theory to the floor. And then Rollins ended up giving the stomp to Austin Theory on the floor. And he danced around and headed to the back. And I'm like, what was Seth Rollins wearing tonight? It was flowers, on the shirt. I'm like, he raided Becky Lynch's wardrobe. He raided his wife's wardrobe and just wore that shirt. But overall, this was, an okay match between Montez Ford and Elias. And then they show what we're going to see next week on Monday Night Raw from Barclays Center in Brooklyn, which I will be at. So we're going to get the contract signing for Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley for the match at Elimination Chamber. We're going to have Raquel Rodriguez, Liv Morgan, and Natalya versus Asuka, Nikki Cross, and Carmella, which that will possibly be, very meh match there. Probably will be on my phone during it. And then we're going to have Miz TV with Seth Rollins being, Miz's guest on Miz TV. Yeah, I'll be sure to go to the bathroom during that. But who knows? Seth Rollins, he could be entertaining, and I know we're going to be singing along to his theme song. So Seth Rollins can make the segment a little bit better. But who knows? And then, of course, we're going to be getting Rick Boogs versus The Miz rematch next week. So that's what we're going to see on Raw next week. So I'll be in attendance for the show. Main event. Bayley versus Becky Lynch steel cage match. This was originally supposed to happen 2 weeks ago on Raw 30th, but unfortunately the match didn't get underway because of time, because the Sami Zayn trial went on for very long. But this was a good match. Nothing memorable here. But the match ended up starting. We had Bayley ended up talking trash to Becky Lynch. And she ended up shoving Becky. Oh, and by the way, this was the first women's steel cage match in 19 years on Monday Night Raw. So Becky Lynch ended up firing back with some forearms to Bayley's face. Bayley ended up dropping her with a kick to her knee, to Becky's knee. Bayley then walked toward the door of the cage, but Becky Lynch ended up taking her down. So we had Bayley end up sending Becky Lynch headfirst into the chain of the other cage. So we saw Dakota Kai and Io Sky. They were cheering on Bayley from ringside. Bayley ended up stopping Becky Lynch, ended up digging Becky's face into the cage. And Bayley ended up going for the cover, and Becky ended up kicking out. Bayley then started to climb the cage, but Becky ended up drop kicking the cage to knock Bayley down to the mat. Becky then ended up sending Bayley into the cage wall, and she ended up drop kicking Bayley against the wall of the cage. Becky then ended up driving Bayley's face into the cage wall and started shouting at her. She was like, "Oh, you talk about my husband? You talking about my husband?" So Becky ended up getting Bayley to her feet, ended up sending her into the cage wall again. Becky then began climbing the cage, but Bayley ended up running over and grabbed Becky's ankle. Becky was standing on the top rope as Bayley started to climb, but Becky ended up kicking Bayley away. Bayley ended up getting up to the other cage, so Becky ended up bouncing her off the cage wall a few times. Bayley ended up fighting back, ended up shoving Becky into the cage before throwing Becky down to the mat. And then Bayley connected with a flying elbow drop from the top to Becky. She ended up going for the cover, and Becky ended up kicking out. So as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had Bayley fighting out of the disarmer. Becky ended up taking Bayley down with a diving shoulder tackle. And we had Becky and Bayley. They were exchanging forearms in the center of the ring. Becky then started alone on Bayley, ended up kicking her down. Becky ended up sending Bayley into the corner, but Bayley began to scale the cage. Becky ended up grabbing Bayley's legs, ended up swinging her into the cage. Becky ended up going up to the top rope, and Bayley ended up driving Becky into the cage wall. So Becky ended up kicking Bayley down, ended up laying her on the top rope. She then connected with a diving leg drop, and she ended up going for the cover, to which Bayley ended up kicking out, and then Becky ended up setting up for the manhandle slam, but Bayley ended up getting out of that, and Bayley ended up hitting a back suplex to Becky. Bayley ended up going for the cover, and Becky ended up kicking out. So there's a point later on where Io Sky quickly climbed up to the top of the cage. She ended up knocking Becky to the canvas. Dakota Kai then ended up handing her crutch to Bayley, to which Bayley ended up using the crutch on Becky, ended up hitting the crutch into Becky's midsection. Then all of a sudden, Lita, WWE Hall of Famer Lita, ended up coming down to the ring, and Lita ended up ripping Io Sky off the cage. Lita then hit the twist of fate to Io Sky on the floor. So Dakota Kai ended up hitting one of her crutches to Lita, but Lita ended up blocking the crutch shot, and she pulled Dakota Kai into the ring steps. So Bayley was by the door. Lita then slammed the door in Bayley's face. Becky then ended up hitting the manhandle slam on Bayley, and she ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Becky Lynch ended up winning the steel cage match. But this was unexpected for Lita to show up, and also very random that she came there. But it was cool to see Lita there. So, but overall, it was a good main event. It was a good steel cage match, but nothing memorable, in my opinion. But overall, Monday Night Raw was an okay show. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up. Comment, subscribe. Like I said, there will be no Raw review next Monday because I will be at the show. So, but I'll see you all for AEW Dynamite on Wednesday.